Motorcycles are entitled to A. The bicycle lane. B. The same full lane width as other motor vehicles. C. Half the width of a lane. D. The width of the sidewalk. B. The same full lane width as other motor vehicles. Lane usage for the motorcyclist is critical. Motorcycles are entitled to the same full lane width as all other vehicles. You are driving on the roadway and hear a siren behind you. You should A. Stop where you are. B. Pull over to the right and stop. C. Speed up to get out of the way. D. Slow down. B. Pull over to the right and stop. When you hear the siren or see the flashing lights of an emergency vehicle coming from behind your vehicle, you must create a clear path for the emergency vehicle and stop. Reduce your speed and safely pull over to the side of the road. If the emergency vehicle is directly behind your vehicle when you are in heavy traffic, keep moving slowly until you can get out of its way. A steady green light at an intersection means that you A. Must slow down and prepare to stop. B. Must stop and check for oncoming traffic before proceeding. C. May drive through the intersection if the road is clear. D. May not turn right. C. May drive through the intersection if the road is clear. A steady green light means you may drive through the intersection if the road is clear. You may also turn right or left on a steady green light unless a sign prohibits the turn. When turning, you must yield to other vehicles and pedestrians within the intersection. If an oncoming driver is heading toward you in your lane, you should A. Blow your horn, steer right, and accelerate. B. Blow your horn, steer left, and brake. C. Blow your horn, steer right, and brake. D. Stay in the center of your lane, blow your horn, and brake. C. Blow your horn, steer right, and brake. If another vehicle is approaching you head-on in your lane, you should first honk your horn to attract attention. If the other driver does not move over, try to escape to the right. If you swerve left and the other driver corrects at the last instant, you will still crash. If a collision is unavoidable, brake firmly and steadily. Every mile per hour you slow down will reduce the impact.
Want to ace your DMV test? Click on the link below and get your guaranteed cheat sheet.
Which of the following is true regarding seat belts and child restraints in vehicles? A. You should never place an infant or small child in the front seat of a vehicle with airbags. B. An airbag can be dangerous to an infant or small child, even in a low-speed collision. C. You should always make sure all your passengers are using a seat belt or child restraint. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. Before you drive, always fasten your seat belt and make sure all your passengers are using seat belts or child restraints. Studies have shown that if you use seat belts, your chances of being hurt or killed in a traffic crash are greatly reduced. Children age 12 and under should always ride properly restrained in a rear seat. Never put a rear-facing infant restraint in the front seat of a vehicle with a front passenger airbag. This sign means A. Low clearance. B. Fines double in a work zone. C. No left turn. D. Do not block intersection. A. Low clearance. Warning signs prepare drivers for upcoming road conditions and hazards and are usually yellow with black markings. This sign tells drivers that they are approaching an area with low clearance. A diamond-shaped sign is A. Road hazard sign. B. Interstate route sign. C. School crossing sign. D. Speed limit sign. A. Road hazard sign. Warning signs are normally diamond-shaped and yellow, although orange warning signs are used in work areas. Such signs warn that you are approaching a hazardous location or an area where special rules apply. If a driver sees an animal on the roadway, A. No special action is required. B. The driver should honk their horn. C. The driver should pass the animal as closely as possible. D. The driver should be very cautious. D. The driver should be very cautious. Be very cautious anytime you encounter an animal on the roadway. Pass the animal slowly to avoid startling or frightening it. At a four-way stop, A. The driver to arrive first has the right of way. B. The driver to arrive last has the right of way. C. One driver should continue driving without stopping. D. One driver should wave the other drivers ahead. A. The driver to arrive first has the right of way. At four-way stops, traffic from all four directions must stop. The first vehicle to reach the intersection should move forward first. If two vehicles reach the intersection at the same time, the driver on the left yields to the driver on the right. Fill in the blank. Greatly increase stopping distances and severity of crashes. A. High speeds. B. Slow speeds. C. Night drives. D. Uphill inclines. A. High speeds. High speeds greatly increase stopping distances and severity of crashes. The faster you drive, the greater the impact or striking power of your vehicle, should you be involved in a collision. Drivers who eat and drink while driving. A. Make no driving errors. B. Have trouble driving slowly. C. Are better drivers because they are not hungry. D. Have trouble controlling their vehicles. D. Have trouble controlling their vehicles. Choosing to eat, drink, or smoke while driving is dangerous because these actions require a driver to remove their hands from the wheel and their eyes from the road. Drivers who engage in distracting activities while driving have trouble staying in their lanes and controlling their vehicles. Is it legal cross a double solid yellow centerline to pass? A. Yes. B. No. C. If there is no oncoming traffic. D. If the vehicle ahead of you is driving under the speed limit. When encountering an aggressive driver, you should A. Avoid eye contact, slow down, and let them pass. B. Cut them off to slow them down. C. Retaliate by tailgating them. D. Make sure they know you disapprove of their behavior. A. Avoid eye contact, slow down, and let them pass. If another driver is threatening you or intentionally driving dangerously around you, remain calm and try to put as much distance between the two of you as possible. Slow down and let them pass. Do not make eye contact and do not make obscene gestures. To avoid being in a truck or bus driver's blind spot, you should A. Never pass them. B. Avoid driving alongside them and avoid tailgating. C. Flash your lights at them. D. Sound your horn. B. Avoid driving alongside them and avoid tailgating. Because a large vehicle, such as a truck or bus, has large blind spots to its sides and rear, avoid driving alongside such a vehicle and do not tailgate one. This sign means A. The highway ahead curves only to the right. B. The highway ahead turns sharply to the right. C. The highway ahead curves to the right and then to the left. D. The highway ahead curves to the left and then to the right. C. The highway ahead curves to the right and then to the left. Warning signs are used to warn drivers about upcoming hazardous conditions and are usually yellow with black markings. This sign warns drivers that the road ahead curves to the right and then to the left. You are driving on a highway divided by two solid yellow lines. You may A. Cross these lines only to make a left turn into or from an alley, private road, or driveway. B. Cross these lines to pass other vehicles, but only if there is no oncoming traffic. C. Cross these lines under no circumstances. D. Cross these lines only to make a U-turn. A. Cross these lines only to make a left turn into or from an alley, private road, or driveway. Double solid yellow lines are used to mark roadways where passing is prohibited from both directions. You may cross these lines only to make a left turn into or from an alley, private road, or driveway. This road sign means A. Your current roadway ends ahead. B. You must bear either right or left. C. A four-way intersection is ahead. D. A road joins from the right. B. You must bear either right or left. This sign indicates that there is a Y intersection ahead. You must bear either to the right or to the left. You may not park. A. On a hill. B. In a parking lot. C. On a crosswalk or in a marked bicycle lane. D. Within 12 inches of the right side of the road. C. On a crosswalk or in a marked bicycle lane. There are a number of locations where it is unlawful to park, including on a crosswalk or in a marked bicycle lane. When parking on the street, you must be within 12 inches of the side of the road. You are driving when it starts to sleet or snow. You should A. Keep your windshield and mirrors clear. B. Allow additional distance between your vehicle and the vehicles that you are following. C. Approach all vehicles with caution. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. In snowy weather, keep your windshield and mirrors clear. Increase your following distance when driving in wet and cold weather because a slippery road surface will increase the distance needed for your vehicle to stop. You may honk your horn when you A. Have to stop quickly. B. Are passing another car. C. Have lost control of your car. D. Are passing a bicyclist. C. Have lost control of your car. One situation where it is appropriate to use your horn is if you lose control of your vehicle. In this case, sound your horn to alert other drivers. When you see an emergency vehicle with flashing lights, you must A. Slow down and keep moving in your lane. B. Keep driving in your lane. C. Pull to the right curb and stop. D. Stop exactly where you are. C. Pull to the right curb and stop. When you see an emergency vehicle using its lights or hear it using its siren, you must immediately pull over to the curb or side of the road and stop. Which is the most common cause of traffic crashes? A. New drivers. B. Human error. C. Bad weather. D. Bad roads. B. Human error. Crashes often occur when one driver does not see another vehicle or when a driver does something unexpected. Communicate with other drivers on the road to help prevent traffic crashes. It is important to be alert to motorcycles because A. They are more difficult to see than cars. B. They rarely use their headlights. C. Motorcyclists are less skilled drivers than other motorists. D. All of the above. A. They are more difficult to see than cars. Motorcycles are smaller and harder to see than cars. Because of their size, they are easily hidden in a car's blind spot. It may be difficult to judge your distance to a motorcycle and difficult to tell how fast a motorcycle is moving, so always be alert and extra cautious when near a motorcyclist. This sign means A. There is a detour ahead. B. You must stop for flaggers. C. The road ahead is closed to traffic. D. The highway ahead is undergoing maintenance. D. The highway ahead is undergoing maintenance. Construction and maintenance signs are orange-colored and are used to notify drivers of unusual or potentially dangerous conditions in or near work areas. This sign warns drivers that they are approaching a construction zone and that they should prepare to lower their speed and drive with extraordinary caution. You must not drive your vehicle at a speed greater than A. The maximum speed limit. B. A speed that is faster than is reasonable and prudent. C. A speed that is safe for existing conditions. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. You must not drive at a speed that is faster than is reasonable and prudent. You must drive at a speed that is appropriate for the area where you are driving, the type and condition of surrounding traffic, the presence of pedestrians, the weather, the quality of the road, and light conditions. You must drive within legal speed limits. If you drink alcohol socially, what helps ensure safe driving? A. Drink coffee before driving. B. Ride home with a friend who has not been drinking. C. Take a cold shower before driving. D. Stop drinking 1/2 hour before driving. B. Ride home with a friend who has not been drinking. One strategy to avoid driving while impaired or intoxicated is to arrange for a ride home with a friend who does not drink. Drinking coffee or taking a cold shower cannot reduce your blood alcohol content or reduce the effects of alcohol. On average, it takes about an hour for the body to eliminate the alcohol from a single drink. After stopping for a school bus that is unloading children. A. Do not proceed until the children wave to you. B. Watch for children walking along the side of the road. C. Accelerate quickly. D. Turn on your emergency flashers. B. Watch for children walking along the side of the road. After stopping for a school bus that has its stop arm extended and its lights flashing, watch for children walking along the side of the road. You should always drive with caution when driving near children. What does a flashing yellow traffic light mean? A. Merging traffic. B. Proceed with caution. C. Pedestrian crossing. D. Come to a full stop. B. Proceed with caution. A flashing yellow traffic light indicates that you should drive with caution. You do not have to stop for a stopped school bus that is loading or unloading children if A. You are traveling in the opposite direction on a two-way roadway that has 4 or more lanes. B. You are traveling in a rural area and the road has a large shoulder on each side. C. You are traveling in the same direction on a two-way roadway that has 4 or more lanes. D. The speed limit in the area is under 25 miles per hour. A. You are traveling in the opposite direction on a two-way roadway that has 4 or more lanes. On a two-lane road, all traffic must stop and remain stopped as long as the red lights near the top of a school bus are flashing and/or the stop arm on the left side of the bus is extended. On a highway with 2 or more lanes traveling in each direction, oncoming traffic is not required to stop when meeting a school bus. This sign means A. You must turn left or right. B. You are approaching a T intersection. C. The road that you are on intersects with a divided highway. D. You are on an overpass above a divided highway. C. The road that you are on intersects with a divided highway. This sign indicates that the road that you are on intersects with a divided highway. A divided highway is 2 one-way roadways separated by a median or guide rail. You are driving up a hill and are approaching a heavy truck from the rear. You should know that A. The truck may be traveling at a speed slower than the posted speed limit. B. You may not be able to safely pass the truck. C. You may not be able to legally pass the truck. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. Drivers must be aware that large vehicles often travel at a speed slower than the posted speed limit, especially when driving on an incline, and should use caution when approaching a large vehicle from the rear. When on a hill with limited visibility, it is unlawful to pass another vehicle. What are the colors of warning signs indicating upcoming hazards? A. Black letters or symbols on a white background. B. Black letters or symbols on a yellow background. C. White letters or symbols on a blue background. D. White letters or symbols on a green background. B. Black letters or symbols on a yellow background. Warning signs that indicate approaching hazards are usually yellow with black lettering or symbols. Warning signs in work zones are orange with black lettering or symbols. When sharing the road with a truck, it is important to remember that trucks generally A. Require longer distances to stop than smaller vehicles do. B. Require less time to pass on a downgrade than smaller vehicles do. C. Require a smaller turning radius than smaller vehicles do. D. Require less time to pass on an incline than smaller vehicles do. A. Require longer distances to stop than smaller vehicles do. Because of their size, trucks need longer distances to stop than smaller vehicles do. This sign means A. Railroad crossing. B. One-way traffic. C. Limited parking. D. Playground ahead. A. Railroad crossing. Circular traffic signs indicate upcoming railroad crossings. This sign tells drivers that they are approaching a railroad crossing and should be looking for signs of an oncoming train. Which of the following is true about driving on a wet roadway? A. As you drive faster, your tires become less effective. B. Water does not affect cars with good tires. C. Deep water is less dangerous than shallow water. D. As you decrease your speed, the roadway becomes more slippery. A. As you drive faster, your tires become less effective. The faster you drive on a wet roadway, the less effective your tires will be at wiping the water from the road. If your speed becomes excessive enough, your tires will lose their grip on the road entirely and you will begin to hydroplane, that is, to slide down the road on a film of water. If you reach an intersection where you wish to turn but you are not in the proper lane, you should A. Quickly cut across traffic to make your turn. B. Turn on your blinker and make the turn from your current lane. C. Drive to the next intersection and make your turn then. D. Safely change lanes then put your vehicle in reverse to go back to the intersection. C. Drive to the next intersection and make your turn then. Never make last-minute turns. If you reach an intersection where you wish to turn but you are not in the proper lane to make the turn, drive to the next intersection and then make the turn from the proper lane. You are involved in an accident and another person is injured. You should A. Move the injured away from the scene immediately. B. Always leave the injured where they are. C. Not move the injured unnecessarily. Keep the injured warm and administer first aid. D. Stay away from the injured. C. Not move the injured unnecessarily. Keep the injured warm and administer first aid. After an accident, do not move the injured unnecessarily. Unskilled handling can make serious injuries out of minor ones. Keep the injured warm until skilled help arrives. If there is severe bleeding, attempt to stop the flow of blood with direct pressure. You must yield to other drivers. A. Only where a yield sign is present. B. Only when you want to yield. C. When they are working in construction zones. D. When their car is bigger than yours. C. When they are working in construction zones. Yield to all vehicles or pedestrians working on highway construction projects. Drive with special caution through a work zone where workers are present. Lanes of traffic moving in the same direction are divided by fill in the blank lines. A. Yellow. B. White. C. Red. D. Black. B. White. Solid white lines are used to separate lanes traveling in the same direction as well as to mark the right edge of the road. Broken white lines separate lanes traveling in the same direction and may be crossed to pass. Yellow lines separate lanes of traffic moving in opposite directions. Do not pass. A. On a hill or curve. B. When school bus lights are flashing. C. When approaching an intersection. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. You should never pass if there is an oncoming vehicle in the passing lane, if your view is blocked by a curve or hill, at an intersection, before or on a railroad crossing or bridge, or in any other no-passing zone. Unless you are on the opposite side of a multi-lane roadway with a median or shared center turn lane, you may not pass a stopped school bus that has its flashing red lights activated.